Nobody's riding to the rescue for Hunter Biden. My dad, entered the presidency as the first man to ever take the office, and he had mistakes like every other president's had. I think one of the failures was the way in which they executed the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I think it was an obvious failure. But we don't want immigrants that are coming here illegally, draining us of resources.
Like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to this channel. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Let's get into this. I see why Hunter Biden was a slick talking fool, just like his daddy. Because he got on Sean Ryan's show. And if you are stupid, you would probably believe some of the stuff that he's saying. But I'm going to play these clips real quick so you can get a synopsis of it. Shout out to Sean Ryan for actually interviewing the guy, because most people would probably be like, I'm not interviewing Hunter Biden. But he interviewed and it ended up actually being a good interview. It's just that Hunter Biden is like a complete liar, like his dad. So let's get into it. They were talking about 5 hours, and we're not going to show 5 hours. But let's start with the first clip. Hunter Biden says there's no laptop. Roll the clip.
There is no laptop.
There was no laptop?
I have no recollection whatsoever of ever dropping off a laptop to John Paul McIsaac. He says he goes to repair the laptop, but then he starts to read the files. And he reads a file, and he sees files about Burisma. And he says the only thing that he can think of doing is calling Rudy Giuliani. He's a laptop repair shop owner in Wilmington, Delaware, whose store is 3.5 miles at most from where everybody knows my parents live. So if he had a laptop that he wanted to return, he thinks that the best thing to do is call Rudy Giuliani's lawyer, Bob Costello, and give it to my sworn enemy.
But there was no laptop, right?
They cobbled together all of this digital material that had been stolen from phones, that had been taken from the dark web, and they made it out to be this thing. Then the story doesn't become about the laptop at all, because there's nothing in the laptop other than a record of me being a degenerate. At the worst moment in my life, smoking, doing drugs, doing whatever.
Now, you know how much of a stewhead you got to be to believe what he just said. Of course he gave it to your enemy, because he probably was a Republican. And you say you don't have recollection. There's nobody that didn't do something and say, oh, I don't have recollection. If you know you didn't do it, you say, I ain't never gave that man no laptop. I don't own a laptop. It's a lie. I never gave the man a laptop. I don't recall ever giving him a laptop. So you could have, you just don't recall it. And then the guy go, why did he give it to Giuliani? Because it's dirt on you and your family. They caught you. Well, there's no laptop because it's the only thing. Yeah, because nothing else matters about the laptop except you smoking and being a weirdo. Freedom has never been free, and the cost is rising. That's why Patriot Mobile exists. For over 12 years, they've defended faith, family, and freedom while delivering premium coverage on all 3 major U.S. networks. Switch today, support the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and our heroes. Go to patriotmobile.com/Tatum or call 972-PATRIOT for a free month. There's more. Come on, next clip.
What do you think that was?
What do I think that was?
What do you think this whole Epstein debacle was? Do you think this was
I don't even know at this point, and I really mean it. It's like I will tell you is that the only thing that is clear to me is this: Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, during a period of his life, were thick as thieves, and Donald Trump has tried to pass this off as being what Palm Beach was in the 90s. Okay, and that may be his view of it, but I've seen enough evidence of Donald Trump and his teen modeling agencies and what he said on Howard Stern about how he would go into the back of these, Miss Teen USA pageants and, walk up to the girls naked. They were talking about girls when he's talking about doing that. And wonder whether or not Donald Trump in his mind has come up with this concoction that it was all just what they did in the 90s. It was models. I mean, that's what Michael Wolff says. Michael Wolff says that the justification in Trump's mind is that they were models.
Wow.
They're 14, 15 years old. I mean, we have a president that has been credibly accused by well over a dozen and a half women, if not more, of sexual assault. And we're wondering whether or not, as he fights tooth and nail for the Epstein files that all of his supporters demanded be released so that they could nail Bill Clinton to a cross. And he won't release him. Why? Out of the kindness of his heart for the people that make it hurt? Have you ever known the president to act out of anything but his own self-interest? Ever?
All right. That's another silly one. All right, we're gonna keep going because I don't want to just debunk everything he's talking about. But Donald Trump did release the files, and now you see it's a number of Democrats. What are you talking about, dude? All right, next clip.
I was the charismatic, degenerate son of the former vice president of the United States, and I was fair game in the world. In the cubby hole, in the West Wing. On what planet am I walking in off of West Exec Avenue with my own Secret Service detail, stopping by the cubby before you go into the Situation Room, and deciding that I'm going to put a baggie of into the cubby hole before I make it on my way to the residence? You know how many people believe that? You've had guests on here who've come and accused me of that being mine.
I just have one thing I have to know.
Yeah.
Who's was in the White House?
I did hear from someone close to the Bidens that when Hunter said he was sober, he actually wasn't sober, and this is when Biden was president.
So it was Hunter's.
I can't say for sure that that particular bag was his, but I'm just saying that when he claimed to be sober, he wasn't sober.
Yeah, when you high, you do all kind of crazy stuff. I don't know why he act like that's so bizarre, but it may not have been him. But who else got? How do you even have? How do people even have in their hand anymore to put anywhere? Anybody at the White House? You're the only crackhead there. Okay, let's go to the next clip. Roll it.
A vibrant immigration. But we don't want immigrants that are coming here illegally, draining us of resources, and also and being prioritized above people that are actual literal heroes that are coming home, that are still recovering from 20 years of endless war, or anybody else in our society.
Next clip.
You have a political party that's continuously saying you're a Nazi, a fascist, Nazi, fascist, Nazi. He's like Hitler, you know what I mean? And then you got assassination attempts all over the country, and it's just
I know, but
like I said,
I'm not. Look, I don't want to get into like the argument over and I really mean it, but like I hear you, I hear what you're saying, but part of me also says you don't want to be called a fascist. Don't act like a fascist. And what I mean by fascism is this: is it deputizing a largest federal police force in history to go on America's streets masked without warrants and drag pregnant women out of their cars in the snow and kneel on their backs, of sending people to prisons, death camps in El Salvador with no due process. I promise you that I believe this with all my heart, is that you and I don't have any distance between us in what we think about immigrants and immigration. How many immigrants do you serve with?
How many what?
Immigrants did you serve with?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. Amazing people, right? How about in your personal life?
So I guess this idiot is trying to make up all these excuses and weirdness and all that. Nobody's getting sent to a death camp. El Salvador is not a death camp. You can see clear videos of the way they treat their prisoners. Yeah, they hard on them, but nobody went over there and died, did they? Then how do you call it a death camp? Pulling a pregnant woman out and kneeling on them. If you get out the car, you know you illegal. When ICE get up to your car and say, get out the car, man, you get out the car, you ain't nobody kneeling on you. They're deploying them in the streets with masks on. The reason they wearing masks because people are doxing them and trying to get them killed and trying to kill their family for doing their job. What are we saying here? It's such an idiot. There's more. Roll the clip. Next one.
Litigation sucks. I've been tied up in criminal and civil and in courts, and I mean, like I got, I don't know, 14, 15 million dollars in debt that I have no idea that I'm going to be able to pay off. I have I mean, millions of dollars in debt. That nobody's riding to the rescue for Hunter Biden. My dad, entered the presidency as the poorest man to ever take the office, and he left the presidency not poorest. I mean, which he's fine, but like we have no generational wealth. I don't have any, despite what these guys say, like there's no billions of dollars buried underneath my dad's house in Delaware.
You know how silly you got to be to act as if my dad came. If your dad was the poorest man to ever enter office, how did you get rich? So you tell me you got rich, your dad didn't get rich. You telling me 10% to the big man don't mean money to your daddy. You act like you ain't got no money and nobody bailed you out. How did you get 15 million in debt? You gotta make a lot of money. You gotta have a lot of money to get 15 million in debt. The bank ain't just loan you $15 million or 10 million or 3 million or 4 million. And how you gonna get money to be in debt? He lying, man. These people got so much money. They're so wealthy. They got so many connections. They got so much stuff in the market. They doing all kind of stuff. There's no way. There's no president that don't leave the Oval Office except Donald Trump, but he was already rich. That don't leave the office richer than they were. Writing a book make them richer. You name it. They get richer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite campaign of the year. I've been waiting all year to do this. I want you guys to support me and Angel Tree to provide Christmas gifts for young people whose parents are incarcerated. They're going to get a Bible. They're going to get a gift that they want. We have shoppers shopping for these gifts. And they're going to get a special letter from their parent who's incarcerated so they don't feel left alone this season. Everybody knows how beautiful the season of Christmas and the season of giving is. I want you to be a part of that. $30 will help one kid. And I also have a caveat here. I want somebody, and I want to get at least 10 people to price match me. We're gonna celebrate helping 300 kids. Join the 300 Club. And if you are able to do it, if God bless you with the finances, I want you to do it. If you can match the 300 Club giving, I'm going to invite you out to Arizona. We're going to go to a beautiful steakhouse, have a good meal, smoke some cigars if you're interested in cigars. And we got a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to provide for you. All you have to do is go to angeltree.com/Tatum. The link will be in the description section. Give whatever God has purposed on your heart to give. That can be $1, that can be $100, or it can be $9,000, which is to join the 300 Club. Either way it go, I want you to give. I want us to blow this campaign out of the water. God bless you, and I look forward to celebrating with you and helping young people have a Christmas they deserve. There's a few more clips, and then we're going to let it go. There's two more. Joe Biden acknowledging his dad's failure. He threw him a bone in Afghanistan. And then the last one would be the being on the board of Burisma. No, we got another one. And his sister's diary of how she was being abused by people. And one of her accusations was against Joe Biden. Roll the clip.
Them. And he had mistakes like every other president's had. Some that I may disagree with, but absolutely 100%. Had some real failures also.
What do you think some of those failures were?
I think one of the failures was the way in which they executed the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I think it was an obvious failure. I think 13 Marines are dead. I think that there was a better way to do it. And I think that, I can blame it on his generals. I can blame it on the people, the way in which we did it. But my dad always knew this also, is that the buck stops with him. I think that was a failure.
All right, go to the 309.
How many people believe that my dad is because some mother stole my sister's trauma diary and sold it to Don Jr. and took things in the trauma diary because she had faced violence and then created a idea that my father was a
your father is a fucking pedophile, dumbass.
Directly comes from the Trumps. Directly comes from people like Don Jr., who's directly involved in contacting the owners of the gun shop to have them go to the state police. They doctored the form. It's not the actual form I filled out. When I went in to buy the gun, you have to have an ID, and I didn't have one. And they said, no problem. And so when ATF came to get the form after they were supposedly tipped off by They actually forged the form, the actual form of which I was charged with the crime for. The form that the Department of Justice used to prosecute me was not the actual form.
How do you know that?
Oh, it's part of the record. I'll show you the documents. I'll show you the two different things. We tried to get them introduced in court, and the judge said it was irrelevant.
Hunter Biden, your fucking dad is a pedophile. I can pull up clips showing Joe Biden's weird behavior with kids. Hold on, what's your... I prove that your fucking daddy is a pedophile. Here we go, right here. Saying your dad is not a pedophile? Here we go, right here. The prime example of that. Joe Biden is a fucking pedophile. Watch.
Physical decline has been well documented throughout his administration. Mumbles and stumbles often make headlines.
There you go, right here.
Under the
Yeah.
Sky News All-Stars Rita Panahi, Paul Murray, and James Morrow exposed Joe Biden's creepiest moments.
That's a fucking pedophile behavior right there. Here you go, your daddy is a pedophile. Look how he acts for our kids.
President Joe Biden claims that the children of America are all our children. But he's taken that claim a little too far on many occasions, acting very strange in his interactions with kids. Arguably the strangest of Joe Biden's creepy behavior is his hair sniffing and close proximity to children's faces.
Yeah, that's
Here's just a
pedophile
few of
behavior.
those moments.
That's pedophile behavior. Yeah, that's pedophile. Yeah.
Don't
That's-
tell mommy what I told you.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. He sniffs too many children, that man.
Times when he gently rearranges a young girl's hair and whispers in her ear, then rearranges some more.
Yeah,
There's
that's pedophile
nothing
behavior.
pervy here. The
That's
VP
pervy.
knows he's on camera at these swearing-in ceremonies, and the parents are right there. as
That's
he
perverted
leans in
behavior.
For a kiss.
That's perverted behavior. That's a pedophile behavior. That's pedophile behavior right there. That is very pedophile behavior right there. So Hunter Biden, you're saying your dad's not a pedophile? Fucker, your daddy's a fucking pedophile. What grown man in his right mind will sniff, rearrange a girl's hair, get up close to their ear like that? That's perverted pedophile behavior.